Okay, so what we're doing today is yesterday we learned about how to take a word problem and write a function for it, right? And then answer a particular question about that situation. Today what we're going to be doing is taking a situation, writing a function for it, and then determining what a reasonable domain and range for that situation is, okay? So these are the instructions that you're going to be doing for each example problem we do today. So you're going to write a function for each situation. Then you're going to find a reasonable domain and range. Okay, so here's your first example problem. Okay, so the problem reads, Mary has already sold $55 worth of tickets to a benefit concert. She has 3 tickets left to sell at $7 per ticket. So what we want to do here is we want to write a function, okay, to represent this situation, and then we want to find a reasonable domain and range for that function. Okay, do you guys need some time catching up? Yeah. Okay, so when we're writing a function for this, what we want to think about are what are the variable parts. Okay, one of the things that's changing is the total amount of money she makes, right? The other thing that's changing is the number of tickets she sells. Now, which one depends on the other? Which one's like the input and which one's the output? Is the amount she makes the input, or is the number of tickets she sells, is that the input? So the number of tickets she sells, that would be considered the input. The amount of money she's making depends on how many tickets she sells, right? So we're going to let the amount of money that she's making be our dependent variable, which is f of x. Okay? F of x is representing the amount of money she makes. Now, how much money does she make? Well, how much did she make already? She made 55. Is she going to make some more? Hopefully, right? So plus, now how much more is she going to make? $7 per what? Per ticket. So plus 7 per ticket, I'm going to represent the number of tickets she's selling with x. Okay? So in here, f of x represents the total amount of money. Okay, and x is representing the number of additional tickets she's selling. Does that make sense why those two things are representative of each of those? Okay. So let's go ahead and now figure out a reasonable domain and range for this function. The problems we did yesterday, we didn't have to figure out a reasonable domain and range because it asked us about one specific value, right? Today they're not asking us about a specific number. So we're going to have to think of all the different possibilities that could happen here, right? So what are some of the possibilities? Like how many tickets could she sell additionally? 3. What's another possibility? Maybe she only sells 2. What's another possibility? 1. What's another possibility? None, right? So all of those are possibilities. So for my domain, I'm going to list 0, 1, 2, and 3. Now, is 4 a possibility? Why is it not a possibility? It told us she only has 3 left, right? Is -1 a possibility? Are negative numbers in this situation possible for my domain? No, okay? So she's not going to sell a negative number of tickets. Now, after we've determined what the domain could be, now we're going to go ahead and figure out what the range could be, because the range depends on the domain. So the range is all my values of f of x, okay? So I'm going to fill in a value that matches each one of these, okay? And here's how I determine what these values are, okay? I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of scratch work over here. Now, some of you might be able to do this in your head, okay? But I'm going to write it down so everyone has a clear understanding of what we're doing here. So the first possible outcome you told me was she sells 0 tickets, right? So for selling 0 tickets, she's going to make $55 plus 7 times 0 because she sold none. So how much is she going to make then? 0 plus 55 that she already made. So how much total? 55. So that's the first possible situation for the total amount of money she can make, right? She makes 55, what she already has. Okay, now another possibility is she sells 1 ticket, right? So for the possibility of selling 1 ticket, she's going to make the 55 she already made plus the $7 times the 1 ticket she sells, right? So that's 55 plus 7. So what is 55 plus 7? 62. Okay. Now, what's the next possible situation? She sells 2 tickets. Okay. So if she sells 2 tickets, she's going to make the 55 she already made plus the amount she makes off of those 2 tickets. Well, how much is that? What's 7 times 2? 14. What's 14 plus 55? Okay. So these are my additional range values I'm adding. Now I'm still going to have 1 more, right? Okay. So I'm going to make 55 plus 7 times 3 tickets if she sells them all. So what's 55 plus 21? 76. Okay, so that's my last range value. Okay? Now, how many of you could have done a lot of this math in your head? Okay. How many of you could see how using a calculator when the numbers get more complicated might be helpful? Like, what if each ticket wasn't $7? What if each ticket was $7.29? Then might you want to use a calculator to help you? Yeah, okay. All right. So we've written the function, we've stated what the domain is, and we've stated what the range is. So all of this, we've completed the instructions for the problem. Okay? These are our answers right here. This is just my work. Okay? All right, we're going to do only one more example today. Okay, so this will be our last example. Can you guys see it, or do I need to move it? There we go. Okay, so example 2. Here's your example 2. Okay, so this example, we have a law firm that charges $100 per hour for the first 4 hours plus a $300 initial consultation fee. Okay, so let's think about the variable aspects of this, okay? So one of the variables is how many hours we're going to use their services for, right? That could change the number of hours I choose to go. The other thing that's going to change is the amount that I pay, right? Now, which one is dependent on the other? Is the number of hours I go dependent on the pay, or is the pay dependent on the hours? The pay is dependent on the hours, okay? So I'm going to say the pay is f of x, and the amount that I'm paying is going to be equal to, how much am I paying per hour? $100 per hour, so times x, plus, what was the initial fee?
300.
Plus 300, right? Now in this situation, f of x is going to be representing the total cost, or the total amount that I'm paying, right? And x is going to be representing what? Yeah, the number of hours that I go. Now, they told me that this $100 per hour is the rate for the first 4 hours. So do I know the rate after 4 hours? They didn't tell me that, right? I don't know what happens when I get to the 5th hour. I don't know. Maybe they give me a discount once I've already, like, I get to hour 5, or I'm not sure, okay? So when I'm finding my domain, I can only figure out my domain for the first 4 hours, right? So for my domain, what are all the possibilities? How many hours could I possibly be there? 1, what else? 2, what else? 3, what else? 4. Now, in the last problem, we used 0 as a part of our domain, right? Is 0 going to be a part of our domain in this problem? No. Why not? Yeah, why would I go down there, pay the $300, and then stay for 0 hours? That doesn't really make sense, right? I'm not going to do that. I'm just not going to go down there and just give them $300 and then leave, right? So 0 is not part of the domain here. So let's list all my domain values. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Now, to find our range values, we're going to go ahead and figure out a corresponding value for each of these domains. So I'll do the first one with you guys, okay, and then you guys can complete the rest on your own, okay? So here's my scratch work. So I'm going to do the first one. So for the domain value of 1, if I stay 1 hour, my cost is going to be $100 times 1 plus the $300 fee. So what does that total up to be? There we go, 400. Good. 100 plus 300, right? Okay, I'm going to let you guys figure out the rest of them, and then we'll talk about how you guys did when we're done. I'll have you guys check your work with me in just a minute, okay? All right, so how did you guys do? Okay, did we all get 400, 500, 600, 700? Okay, good. So we should have plugged in each of the domain values and got a corresponding range value, right? That's my domain and range. So I did all the parts of what the instructions said. I wrote a function. I found a reasonable domain, and I found a reasonable range. This part are the answers. This is just like my work, okay? Now, remember, what does your domain represent? The domain represents all of the x's. So the domain is representing the number of what? Hours. And what is the range representing? The range is all the possibilities for the total cost, okay? So in this type of problem, when we're talking about domain and range, it's not just numbers, it's numbers that actually represent something related to the problem. Okay? All right, any questions on this topic today? Okay. All right.